Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Series, proudly powered by leadershipbydesign.co, where we aim to add value to people's lives. You can catch us live every Wednesday and Thursday at lunchtime on ebizradio.com, where we talk everything leadership, coaching, and marketing. And you can catch us on the Lunchtime Series on all your major podcast channels today. In today's marketing leadership segment, joining me as per usual, marketing communications expert Craig Page-Lee. How are you doing, Craig?
Kevin, I'm great, thank you. Yeah, we are another week on the go, and all excited because I got to see the start of some great rugby games this weekend, the World Cup. Did you get to watch any of them?
I did. I watched the opening. So the opening of the World Cup, which I thought was really like unique, the way that they built the Eiffel Tower in the middle of the field, and
Brilliant.
I thought it was like really, really creative. I thought I first didn't understand what they were doing, and then as it was sort of progressing, you kind of understood how they were talking about France and what's beautiful about France. And in the end, it was nice and sort of festival kind of vibe, and I really loved that they. But if we look at some of the games, again, I was very surprised about New Zealand.
Yes,
but the French played really well. They came out there kicking ass, and they made. I think that they wanted to make their country proud, and they absolutely did, I think.
Yes, very much so. I'm glad you enjoyed that game.
But yeah, I mean, South Africa, they in the first half they seemed quite all over the show. That's what I thought. I was watching some of the commentary as well. Some of the kicks that they were doing, unnecessary kicks. They were kicking the ball away.
Yeah.
And not using the forwards and their props, to gain ground properly. But eventually, by the second half, they came out there, as a force to be reckoned with. And I think one of the commentators actually mentioned those 3-4, like that forward pack is, as they're so powerful they could kickstart Eskom for us. And I'm like, probably they have some power, at least for a week, right?
That's fantastic. Yeah, it was a bit. Look, by no means was it ever going to be an easy game, Kevin. Scotland are ranked where they are because they know they're playing bloody good rugby. So so from that point of view, I don't think we had the right to think that we just walk over them. We did have a few moments and mishaps and things like that, but it was also nice to see that as they got more settled, a bit of the expansive game coming to play. And it's really good. That's the spectators want to see that. That's what you pay good money to go and see good open rugby, and they proved that they can still play that. Kicking is going to cost South Africa the World Cup. I can tell you right now, every single one of the big games had the most phenomenal kicking in place, both from out of hand and set pieces. We just got to work on that. We've got great kickers. We just hope that they pitch on the day. but it was great, great to watch it, and very excited. I've downloaded the Rugby World Cup app, Kevin. Really do it if you want to watch the game.
I've got it. Yes. No, I'm keeping track and seeing some. There were some guys that I saw that were astronaut, like who was playing Romania? Someone in Romania, and I think it was Ireland. Yes. And the score was almost ridiculous.
Yeah, 83-9 or something. But then there were other beautiful surprises of great game plan when you watch the highlights. Namibia went out and played some wonderful rugby.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm glad to hear you've got it. It's definitely easy to use and providing some really great insights on a daily basis.
Greg, so as we start off today's show, give us some reminder points of what we were chatting about last week's presentation.
Yeah, Kevin, thanks. It was a good chat last week, and we concluded what sort of essence became a three-part discussion, where we started by firstly looking at key trends shaping the practice of employee experience, and then the week thereafter we looked at trends shaping the practice of customer experience. And then we concluded last week by actually looking at the practice of customer engagement, which in essence is actually the tools, the strategies and technologies and actions that you actually put into place to communicate with your customers and help them get the most out of your product, which heightens the customer experience proposition. And the key reminder points are from the article that I came across in Beyond the Arc, Kevin, that was titled Mastering the 3 C's of Customer Experience. And the author notes that from years of helping customers improve their customer experience, he noticed that it always comes down to these 3 C's, and they definitely did resonate with you: champions, culture, and communication. So let's quickly look at those again. So the first C, champions, we learned the following. You need executive champions who represent a customer-first mindset in their words and actions. Champions who rally the organization and understand the bigger picture of why a customer focus is so important to the business. They put a stake in the ground stating this is how we run our business now, and this is where we focus. People and processes then can start to shift and align with that. And everyone should know who your customers are, their core needs and concerns, and what motivates their actions and decisions. The second C is culture, and we learned the following here. Customer-facing employees have to think about culture because it's part of their role, whereas many other teams are more focused on products and services and processes because it's their job. So those employees may think customer experience isn't relevant to them because they actually never directly engage with customers. But if their work does not reflect a customer-focused mindset, it may be having a negative impact down the line. As such, a critical part of developing CX improvements is to actively engage everyone in the organization, whether it's in team huddles, training, or tools. Every employee needs to get to understand how they play an important role in influencing the customer experience. Leaders in this realm offer practical support, dedicated resources, and enabling the employees to get the guidance and tools that they actually need to understand how to bring the customer experience vision to life in the mindset and actions every day, Kevin. And then the third C is the important C of communications. And we learned the following here. This is where the champions really come to the fore again, delivering effective communications, clearly, consistently conveying the customer experience vision and why it matters. And it's important to allow communications to nurture the culture by supporting employees and shifting them into that customer-centric mindset. And a way to achieve this is to demonstrate what customer-focused communications really looks like, and then helping the teams understand how to use language and tone of voice that actually may resonate better with the audiences. And those are the key takeaway or reminder points from last week, Kevin.
Fantastic. Thank you, Craig. And guys, if you want to check out Mastering the 3 C's of Customer Experience, you can check it out on YouTube under the Lunchtime series or all your major podcast channels today. Craig, so what are we going to be chatting about today?
Kevin, we're going to be chatting about a great topic, the topic of storytelling. And as you know, we've referenced this topic a number of times in the past few weeks, but not just in relation to the role that storytelling actually plays in delivering the great employee experience and for that customer experience, but very much in relation to the role that storytelling plays in the world of advertising and communications.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Good, great, thanks. So again, just to start off with, let's look at a few of the definitions. So according to Wiki, storytelling is the social and cultural activity of sharing stories, sometimes with improvisation, theatrics, or embellishment. Every culture has its own stories or narratives, which are shared as a means of entertainment, education, cultural preservation, or instilling moral values. Crucial elements of stories and storytelling include plot, character, and narrative point of view. According to attest.com, storytelling in marketing means using a narrative to communicate a message. It can be useful for everyone from small startups, to larger corporations. And the aim is to make the viewer feel something, enough that it'll inspire them to take action and to increase their brand loyalty. And then according to one of my favorite blog, HubSpot.com, storytelling uses words to create new worlds and experiences in a reader or listener's imaginations. Storytelling can impact human emotions, and it can also lead people to accept original ideas or encourage them to take action, Kevin.
Great. I mean, I know we're going to unpack this today, but what's interesting about storytelling is, we're currently seeing that in large corporates, from the man the person on the phone, all the way through to leadership, all the way through to management, all the way through to CEO. You're finding that storytelling is such a crucial element, and in aim of engaging your audience and engaging your market to that degree. Because I think, and a lot of people don't know that. I always, because I do a lot of training especially for presentation skills and storytelling. And one of the things I always say is, we forget that we all have that 7-year-old inside of us who loves to listen to a good story, right? So I'm loving that we're actually covering this as a point, because storytelling unbelievably important.
Yes, yes, Kevin. So to that point, then I want to start the conversation by referencing an article that I came across on Forbes.com titled "The Power of Storytelling for Your Business: Unleashing Your Inner Storyteller." The article was written by Candice Georgie DC and was published by YEC, which is the Young Entrepreneurial Council. And the article opens by setting the context as follows, Kevin. So it starts and says, visualize this. You're browsing a website that exclusively offers organic skincare products. A dozen similar products with the same features and claims are presented to you. The question is, how do you choose which one to buy? Now, on the other hand, say you found a particular product that uses a single angle, storytelling. The company tells a story of how the product's founder's daughter battled with acne for years and tried every product on the market, but no skincare product worked. The founder goes on to tell a story about how she discovered a natural ingredient that changed her daughter's skin and life. She explains that the results inspired her to share the secret with her friends and then start her own brand. So it goes without saying here that you probably buy the product with the compelling story, Kevin. And as such, it's the stories that grab our attention and pull you in, connecting with you emotionally, and then inevitably persuading you to take action. But the article makes a really great point in that storytelling is not merely a commercial ploy. It's a necessity, at least it's necessary ability for entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders who actually want to distinguish themselves in today's highly competitive and noisy market, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, Craig, it's the what I've noticed about storytelling is it especially when it's when you consistently need to engage your audience. I watch a lot of brands that do this, especially with the short version and short sort of kind of TikTok reel kind of approach. Even that is a very, when you're doing it right, and when it's effective, even that part of short form information is really well thought through, and it lends itself to that brand the whole time. So I think storytelling, people sometimes think, oh well, I'm just going to tell you about who I am and what I do, and but when you see brands is really effectively doing it, there's an actual strategy behind it, and it's a well thought up story, and there's reason and meaning behind it, and I think that's a really important part of sharing your story. But I mean,
and so sorry, Kevin, the technologies, and there are great curators that are using TikTok in such an effective way to tell stories.
Absolutely, and the reason why I say this is because I I use it, but I still struggle, because you kind of go, okay, so what is the story and how is it connecting to your brand, and then you kind of then I stop, because like it is a very well thought process that you have to actually unpack, and you have to know why you're telling the story, and but I mean, how do marketers use storytelling to grow their brands? And that's exactly going to answer my question.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's a great question, and the article that I came across on entrepreneur.com titled "6 Powerful Brand Storytelling Tips for Marketers" addresses this very question, Kevin. And the article was written by Murali Neti and published as recently as 3rd of March this year, and it provides 6 tips to help marketers tell compelling stories that will definitely help positively impact their bottom line. So let's take a look at these 6 tips. So firstly, tip 1 is know your target audience. Kevin, it's important to know your audience is before even starting to tell a story. You need to understand the demographics such as age, gender, location, and income, and this will help you definitely start tailoring your brand story to your specific target audience. But it's also important to identify what your audience specific needs and interests are. And these are the points that we've spoken about quite a bit the last few days. Really, what is the need that you're needing to address for an audience? And once you clearly understand your target audience, it's time to then create that hook or that glue that will grab your audience's attention, pulling them in so that they actually want to know more about your brand and story.
Is someone using this room? All right, I'll move now. Thank you.
Do you need to move?
Sorry, Greg. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
okay. Do you want
I'm
to stop
stuck in the middle of momentum here. Give me a second.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to exit the or are you just going to carry your stuff?
I'm just going to carry.
Okay.
Right.
Quite interesting ceiling details.
Sorry, man.
quite fascinated.
I specifically asked them, is there anyone using this? And they were like, no, you can use it. All right, sorry, can we go from where you stopped there?
Yeah, perfect. So, yeah, Kevin, so moving to tip 2, after really understanding your audience, it's about creating that compelling story, because that is the hook. And it goes without saying that the compelling story is essential for you to create that emotional and engaging connection. And a way to achieve this is to tell a unique story that allows your brand to stand up from your competitor, like the woman who found the beauty product for, at least the skin product for her daughter. And a good story has a structure, beginning, middle, and end. And it should also have a clear and concise message that's really easy to understand. But what we learned from this tip, Kevin, is that some of the key elements of a compelling brand story include its origin, its mission and values, and actually what sets it apart from its competitors. And it's very important to include real life examples and customer testimonials to give your story credibility and make it more relatable. And it's even worth considering the likes of characters in your brand story that your target audience can really start identifying with. The third tip is use emotional storytelling. And we know all too well that emotion plays a powerful role in this principle of brand storytelling, and it helps to create that connection between brand and customer. And by tapping into the emotions of your audience, you can create a story that resonates with them and stays with them long after the initial interaction with the brand. And examples of emotional storytelling include telling stories of how brands have helped customers in the past and actually showcase the brand's impact on the community, for instance. Tip 4 is utilize visual storytelling. And this is really where the likes of technologies can play a big role. Images and visuals are an important part of brand storytelling, and they help bring the story to life and make it more memorable and meaningful. And it's important to use images that are powerful, emotional, and most importantly, relevant to the story. And examples of how to visualize a story include the likes of infographics, which can be simple how-to guides, or sharing some key information about the brand. And you can also use short videos and graphic illustrations, as you mentioned earlier, delivered by the likes of TikTok. When using visual story, though, it's important to ensure that the visuals are high quality and relevant to your brand story, complementing the story and not overpowering it. Tip 5 is to inspire action with your story. Stories are not just about capturing your audience's attention. They're about inspiring your audience to take action, whether they want, you want to drive sales, encourage signups, or promote a particular cause. It's important to make your story actionable. And your story should have a clear and compelling call to action that inspires your audience to take action. It should show the benefits of taking action, whether it's about improving their lives, solving a problem, experiencing something new, but meeting their needs. Make it easier for your audience to take action by providing clear instructions with links and other resources to go and find supporting information. And then, finally, tip 6, Kevin, it's about incorporating storytelling into your marketing strategy. Once you've created that brand story, it's essential to incorporate it into your marketing strategy. And this can be done by integrating stories into your campaigns or creating consistency across channels, for example, through your email marketing platform and linking it straight back to social media. But it's also important to measure the success of your storytelling efforts, because you've got to ensure that they resonate with your target audience. And this can be done through tracking engagement, shares, and conversions across social media. Continuously refine your storytelling. Important for strategy because it ensures that your story stays relevant and engaging for your target audience. This can be done by regularly conducting market research, various tracking metrics, and making adjustments to your story as needed. Ensure your brand story is shareable by making it easy for people to share on social media and other channels, and encourage your audience to share your story by including a call to action in your story, and even get to a point where you can reward them for good word of mouth sharing.
Yeah, Craig, what's interesting about this is I always find that when you also have a kind of a story attachment to a brand, and I sort of shared something that DSTV was doing now, just, back to the rugby. They had the rugby players sitting on a couch talking and sort of each one sharing a bit of a sentiment about something. And it's sort of, and I see there's a part 1 and a part 2 and a part 3, but it's really unpacking, the connection and what this does, what rugby does for a nation, right? So even, with keeping that narrative and that storytelling process, it really just connects the human element to your brand quite effectively. But I mean, with that, moving into what are some of the benefits, because there must be benefits of storytelling to what your brand is doing, and what are those benefits?
Absolutely, Kevin. Yeah. So the article that I referenced earlier, The Power of Storytelling for Your Business, Unleashing Your Inner Storyteller, actually notes 5 points on the benefits of storytelling. So first benefit is it builds trust and rapport with your audience. And in business, people buy from people they like, from people they trust, and people they are familiar with. And to really achieve this bond with your audience, you need to use stories to show your personality, to demonstrate those values and authenticity. And once you've established these elements of your brand, trust is built and consumers start to believe in your brand, Kevin. The other benefit is, or benefit number 2, is differentiate your brand from others. So it's important to define what the brand's unique selling proposition is, especially in these highly competitive markets. Telling the right story in a unique way helps you highlight what makes you different and better from others. It's really that simple. And if your story can tell it, your audience can definitely buy it. And I like the simplicity of that definition. Benefit 3, create memorable and shareable content. So stories help you cut through the noise and capture attention. They help you make your content memorable and easy to recall, and a compelling and trustworthy story helps you make your content viral and word of mouth friendly. Benefit 4, increases loyalty and engagement. And there definitely, as we mentioned, should be an emotional trigger for your audience when they interact with your brand. That emotional connection that ensures that you keep them engaged. This is where stories play a huge role in stimulating your audience's emotions and actually making them care about the message as you increase user engagement, increase retention, and drive more of the loyalty as well, Kevin. And then benefit 5, probably one of the most important, drive sales and conversions. And we know that people make decisions based on emotions and then justify them with logic. Stories help you influence their emotions and motivate them into action. They help you overcome objections and fears, and they help you create that sense of urgency and scarcity, which when a brand really knows how to capitalize on those two principles, they've got the hook to pull you in, Kevin.
Yeah, Greg, and I think that's, I was just going to say, one of the things that I usually do is very emotive. So I find I'm engaged with a brand when they are being emotional and there's an emotive sort of side to it. I remember Mercedes actually showcasing, I don't know if you've ever seen this, they were showcasing Mercedes-Benz, but they had a little boy walking through town, like getting out of bed, walking through town all the way to the police station. And the police station, the policeman looking at the young boy going, we can't do this all the time. And this is the last time we're doing it. And then they get into a Mercedes Benz and he drives him home with his seatbelt on and everything. And they don't say anything about Mercedes Benz. You just know that, like, you see it's a car and it ends with the Mercedes symbol. But you so understand the emotive connection that you suddenly get Mercedes telling a story about safety and your child wanting that comfort and the style and the elegance of having your child being brought by the police back to his home safely. And it was just a very, very unique way of kind of selling the brand. But yeah, like connecting to that story is so significant. And I think you have to think your way through it. You can't be flippant about it. You've got to think,
yes.
how do I connect to my audience, and how do I do that really well?
And Kevin, in the role that you played, leading and coaching, all of these principles really are key because, so firstly, you have to build trust with the audience you're working with, but you've also got to enable them to have the trust relationship into their organizations and rapport with their internal teams. Emotion is a critical part of what you deal with every day.
But also, Craig, a lot of people they use Brené Brown as a reference point, and I actually we started a program in the sales environment, and I used vulnerability as a storytelling opportunity to really kind of go, okay, let me see. I'm going to be vulnerable, and I'm going to tell them a story about my life, about my personal life. And the fact that I shared my vulnerability to that capacity, and the fact that I was, it's an emotional story, but it also shared that I was human and that I, wasn't perfect walking into this environment with a know-it-all kind of attitude. It literally changed how they responded to me as a group of, people that we're going to be working with for the next 6 months. But using that storytelling and showcasing that vulnerability has changed how these guys respond to me as the coach. So yeah, I mean, like everything you're sharing here sort of is completely up my alley, and it's like that's the point, because in NLP, neurolinguistics as well, we speak about metaphors. So if you can think of a really good metaphor to explain what you're doing, you get far more buy-in from people's minds when they understand something through a storytelling process, because what you're doing is taking people on the journey of the brain, and your brain's kind of going on that journey with the speaker. So it's a really powerful tool when you know how to use it and when you take the time to get to know how to use it well.
Yes.
So, I mean, as we end today, Craig, what are the key takeaways that we can share with our listeners?
Kevin, the takeaway points are from the article I referenced earlier, one of the articles, The Power of Storytelling for Your Business, Unleash your inner storyteller. And Candace, I've got to get her surname right here again, Georgiadis, there we go, Candace Georgiadis, tongue twisted around that, provides the following pointers on how to master storytelling for your business. And they're 5 simple points. Know your audience and your pain points, at least their pain points. Research and profile your ideal customers and understand those needs, wants, goals, desires, and fears, and even their frustrations and aspirations. Point 2 is define your core message and value proposition by clarifying what you want to say and why it matters to your audience. You've got to consider what the main point or benefit of your story is. And you've got to use the formula, your brand helps your audience solve their problem by your solution. And when you can thread that sentence together, you're definitely beginning to start picking up on the components that are going to help you build your story. Point 3 is choose the right format and channel for your story. Use different types of stories and media formats for different purposes and platforms, and consider where your audience is online and what content they like and consume, and in what mind state they are when consuming that content. Point 4 is use the classic storytelling structure: setup, conflict, resolution. Introduce your characters, for instance, your brand and your audience. Discuss the situation. What are the audience's problems, challenges, or needs that you're going to address? And the goal. What is your audience's desired outcome look like? Present the obstacles or difficulties that actually prevent them from achieving their goal. For instance, marketing competitors, market conditions, and some internal issues. And then show how your characters overcome the conflict and reach their goal, which then allows you to unpack your solutions, your value proposition, and what your strong call to actions are. And then the final point, Kevin, is incorporate those sensory details and emotions in your story. Use descriptive language that appeals to your audience's sense and emotions, painting that vivid picture of your story in their mind. Use the sensory details that involve sight, sound, smell, touch, the 5 senses, powerful engagement tools, and that will really get them to lean in and believe in your story more. And those are the 5 simple key takeaway points for today's conversation.
Fantastic. I love that. Craig, and the quote that I have for today around storytelling is a conversation, guys. So if you want to go and check it out, go to the Lunchtime series, search the videos, and search for the headline, "Your mess is your message." And I learned this from Marjorie Sultan. And she's a confidence coach and a speaking coach. And when she said, "Your mess, always remember that your mess is your message," I so suddenly understood how well to tell a story, because what speaking about what we're speaking about today, Craig, we often find that we kind of go, "Oh, but now who's interested in, what happened to my life, and who's interested in, how do I, how relatable is this?" And she specifically emphasized that always remember that your mess is your message, because when you take the things that you've gone through in life and you create a story out of the struggles you've had, the obstacles you've overcome, you suddenly take what's happened in your world and you've created a wonderful message, something that so many people would potentially relate to based on the fact that you're human and you're going through a tough time as well. And when you just connect to that, your mess is your message. So use it as a storytelling tool to be able to connect to how can I convey what it is I want to convey. I think it's a really powerful way of actually sharing that information.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm going to look out for that video as well on the show, Kevin. It's
yeah, go check it
great.
out. It's such and she's from I think she's from Iowa, and she's a real Southerner, so she speaks with a real an American accent, but also been a coach and a confidence coach, I think for 60 years or something. She's an older lady, but really, really insightful information. So guys, go and check it out. It's a really awesome video to check out.
Yeah,
Craig, thank you so much. Thank you for storytelling. I think this is very useful, and we will see you next week. Thanks for the insights, and then I'll chat to you later.
Have a great rest of the week. Thanks, Kevin. Cheers.
And you. Thanks, Craig. Cheers for now. Bye.